Thank you very much. The hour of 10 o'clock has arrived, and we are the Norwood Historical Commission meeting. But two of our members, actually three of our members, have not
been able to attend.
Are ill, and two cannot come. And I don't know about the third one, but we do have a quorum today. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. My name is Judith Howard, Chair of the Norwood Historical Commission, and I'll just go around the table.
I'm Kathy Burgess.
Tony Esco.
Cheryl Doyle.
Michael Rosen, Assistant Town Manager.
Thank you very much. Just want to say a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Yes, thank you so much.
October 8th.
Yep.
Second.
Yep, I make a motion to approve. Second. All in favor?
All in favor? I didn't hear you.
Sorry, yep.
Got to speak a little.
Yep.
Thank you.
I approved. Did she second it?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
The minutes reflect.
Thank you for the
Item on the agenda will be the Moss House, and I'd just like to know the status of the bids to rehabilitate the exterior. Town meeting approved $185,000, and we know that the application for $200,000 has been made to the Massachusetts Cultural Council. And we'll have to wait probably until May to hear the solution or the outcome of that. And so that's what we're waiting for.
Madam Chair, may I just, so for that one, I did apply for the full $200,000 after checking in with everybody about that. So we do expect to hear back from that, I think within 2 to 3 months, hopefully soon. So I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would be great if we could.
And that's in partnership with Mass Development, I think. That's how it goes.
Mass
Development.
Cultural Council
Yeah.
in connection,
Yeah.
in cooperation with them, that's great. St. Gabriel's Chapel, we did award, the town awarded the bid to Wendy Frontiero of Gloucester, and she was the only one who made a bid for $24,000 for CPA funds, and that's to complete the application for St. Gabriel's Chapel and Highland Cemetery to go on the National Register of Historic Places. And that takes about 2 years to go through the process and hopefully to be approved. But I'm going to ask you, Michael, what the disposition of the
Other issues
situation.
Thank you. I did check in with Mr. Mizuko about this yesterday, just because I saw this was on the agenda. So he said officially he's still looking into it. What his concern is that there was a duplication of the same effort being done, because I believe Ms. Frontero was relying on work that had been done by another person. So I think that's what he's trying to sort out, to see if there's a fair compensation to the original person who had done the research. So I think he's just trying to tease that out. But that is, no, I don't have any additional update besides that.
Okay, thank you.
Any
discussion on the thing?
Yes.
Tony?
Well, I have to say, and the town manager can take a relook at the more than 10-year communication process that went on with that application. And it went through so many changes and reiterations of different people being in charge of it, and then it got dumped in Mark Ryan's lap, bluntly, because the chapel started leaking and Norwood was in the process of maybe adopting CPC, and then they had to wait, so they stopped it. It got so convoluted, and things might have been done sort of like on handshake friendly stuff with assistance. So there is cause to look into it to see if there was a injustice served to anyone who was working on that, who was working on the application and thought there was going to be compensation, because
but there was no authorization for that.
That we can find.
That we can find
in writing.
In writing.
Right. So I think that's the problem. and the fact that a lot of the people involved aren't working on that anymore, so I'd like to keep it as amicable as possible and as respectful to the resources and to the persons who did do professional work. That's all.
Cheryl, did you have your hand up?
No, I'm resting my head.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all.
Does anybody have anything else to say? Okay, so we're gonna, okay.
Oh, and
right.
just on, Ms. Frontero did reach out in an email with her fee schedule, so I don't know if you saw that too, but it looks like regardless of what happens with this, there will be some fee that is levied to Ms. Frontero for her work as well, so,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you. Moving on, Shattuck Park. The application was made by the town for CPA funds for $32,280. But I have a question. Rather than the town seeking a letter of support from the Norwood Historical Commission, what about those funds applying to the building of the dry stone wall itself? Because that's a lot of money, $32,000. And there already is, they already got the estimate, and I'm just wondering. And did they say anything at the CPC meeting about that?
No, because we just got the application and we're just starting the outreach cycle
Okay.
for that. And to use this for something other than the study, the application would have to be pulled by whoever submitted it. You can't
The town.
just, yep, they would have to pull the application. Or it goes all the way to town meeting and town meeting just votes it no.
So,
Well,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, I have a question, because I can't remember all the verbiage in that application. But is that 32,000 for a design study for an integrated design for the park that includes the wall? Is it looking at the
It's
whole
wall.
thing?
It's the wall,
Just the wall.
just the
It's just
wall,
the wall.
going all the way around.
Wait a minute, all the way around,
That
or
I
just
know of.
replacing what is there?
Oh, it's a big
Oh,
plan.
no. All the way around the park, a
Yeah, the
stone-
block,
What?
the whole block.
It wouldn't
I
work on
think
one
it's-
side.
It's only on
Oh,
one side, that's why I
okay.
thought.
I don't know, I'd have to pull the application,
down,
because we
the wall
didn't
side.
really talk about that last night. We were just talking about dates. We have something like 13, 14 applications.
Mhm.
So off the top of my head, and I didn't even think to bring the application with me, I apologize, because I don't look at it as historic, I look at it coming under rec.
Well, that's
It's
what
open
it's under,
space and
right?
rec, yeah.
Okay,
Well, I'm
but,
not even talking about like the historic part of it. The historic part of it is on Shattuck Park Road, Bellevue Avenue, and Winter Street. That's the only part that's historic. Are they coming back to ask for more money for a wall to continue all the way around?
I don't know, I don't know what the
Nickel?
intentions are, so I can't
We'll
answer.
have to,
But Mike can, he's got the
Yeah, I have the application,
application.
I just pulled it up in my email.
okay.
So just, I'll quickly read this. The town of Norwood is seeking the expertise of a landscaped architect for an assessment and restoration recommendations for the existing historic stone wall along the frontage of Shattuck Park, a beautiful and ecologically valuable open space that was gifted to Norwood by the Shattuck family. The park is 7.5-acre enclave of pristine New England woodland in the heart of a residential neighborhood. Within the park, oak trees, I'll skip
Yeah,
ahead a
bye-bye.
bit. This stone wall is showing signs of deterioration and impacts from surrounding trees and vegetation. So the stone wall, which is primarily subject of the study, extends for about 580 feet along the park's Bellevue Avenue and Winter Street frontage. So that's what
Okay,
we're
so then it's just for
the study.
that part, it's not for.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my
But
gosh.
it's for the expertise of a landscape architect for their assessment and restoration recommendations. So it is the study, maybe the design, but not the actual construction cost.
But there is, attached to that application, isn't there an estimate from
The-
a
Let's find out.
landscape architect.
I believe you're right.
That's why-
I think we used the company as the template called Halverson.
Halverson,
Halverson Ty
Ty
and Bond.
Bond
Yeah,
Studio.
correct. Yep. That's where they got the 32,280 from for the basic services. So their task is an assessment of conditions with a deliverable of being plans and a narrative formally with an inventory attached to it.
Yeah.
And then task 2 is a conceptual preservation, how to treat the preservation of it. So they are not actually doing the construction, it's just recommendations.
Recommendation.
So would they be coming up then with actual written plans that we can give to a mason or someone who knows how to do rubble walls, or?
I believe so, because it does say the
Plan.
deliverable is an annotated plan with an assessment narrative
So
formatted.
that's
Yeah.
valuable. That's very valuable, actually.
So then, the town is looking for a letter of support from the Norwood Historical Commission regarding the whole thing. I mean, the application.
Because
So-
that's what you want, right? A rubble wall there? Do you want a wall with
It's farmer's wall.
farmer's wall or?
A dry stone wall, just to replace what is there. I don't want the, what do you call it, the mortar or anything like that.
Right.
Well, you can see on the outside of Town Hall, whoever did the sidewalk coming into the Washington Street side, they did not put the coloring to match what is already there. So when they don't put the coloring on the thing to match what is there, one has to question, why wasn't it? Because that looks brand new and this looks old. And, I mean, maybe the quality is good, but it, missing.
The aesthetics part.
But, sure.
Yeah, I get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, we'll write a letter of support for the thing. Do I hear a motion?
No, motion.
Second?
Yep.
You want a second?
Hey,
Yeah,
Tom.
second.
Oh, hi.
Is this the right room?
Yep.
Yes,
This
sir.
is the right room. Oh, my gosh. I thought you were not well.
Huh?
I thought you were not well.
I'm not.
Oh, and you came.
Thank you for
Are,
coming.
are you sick?
No, I got hip problems.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not okay, it hurts.
No, I don't mean that, no
I know.
disrespect.
I
But
just-
if you
I
have
just-
something transmittable, that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking.
Insanity, does that count?
Thank you, John.
Okay.
Good to see you. John Gio, present.
Yes.
Thank you.
Tom, there's a motion on the floor if you're interested, letter of support for the Shattuck Park Wall project, CPA project.
Yep.
Tony motioned, I second.
Yeah.
Kathy motion.
Oh, I didn't even hear you, so I said it with you,
No,
Kathy.
Kathy seconded. No, Kathy made the motion.
Kathy first,
Sorry.
Cheryl second. Yeah.
Kathy made the motion.
Okay, so Kathy, and then me.
Yes,
Yes.
that's how I have it.
Wow, we are dinosaurs.
Is there any further discussion?
Just to say, I would look forward to the beautification of that area. We walk by it on parades all the time, and, you know, it'll be nice.
Do I hear a,
So, all in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Norwood Central Rail, oh, wait a minute, before I go on to that, I just wanted to say, John Tencherulo sent us Smithsonian Magazine. Sorry. The July-August issue of Smithsonian Magazine. And in it is this wonderful article on stone walls, dry stone walls. And it says, artisans around the world are ditching the mortar and embracing the ancient craft of dry stone walling. And so here's it is in Scotland, and, I mean, it's everywhere. So what I'm going to do is, I'll take a copy of this article and distribute it and to the town manager and to you. So that's
You don't have to
great.
worry about cement and mortar cracking and falling out and
Or discolor.
it's really
We
great
have-
for
It
New
looks
England.
identical to the Shattuck Park wall. We have one that goes bordering all around our land like that, from one end to the
We have a dry stone
Dry
wall as
stone
well,
wall, yeah.
but in the 1920s and the 1930s in Norwood, a lot of homes around that area, you know, of the high school, has stone walls to separate the property, just like in Ireland and in Scotland
Right.
and Wales, they are just
They were-
beautiful.
They were property lines, you know.
They were right,
Exactly.
exactly,
Property lines,
exactly, natural
Yeah,
property
yeah.
lines. And next on the agenda is the Norwood Central Railroad Station. Has the MBTA put out any bids for the rehabilitation project? Have you heard anything?
So I asked our director of procurement, Jason Adams. He said, no, the answer is no to that they have not put anything out yet about this.
So can we follow up on that?
Sure. We can do that.
And the three gentlemen were here, you know, a couple of meetings ago.
Yeah,
and so
summer.
What?
It was summer, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we just need to
Yeah,
know where it stands.
sure.
Because probably by the springtime, there may be some more information on Norwood Hospital.
Mhm.
And so it would be a good time of year for them to get going.
Good idea,
Maybe
yeah.
inspire Norwood Hospital. Also about the restoration of the cannon in
Yes.
front of in front of Town Hall. There was an estimate by this company for $95,000 that was submitted, but the restoration was 114.
There's a
Is it a
contingency,
contingency for
Yes.
that?
because we require it to put in.
Yes.
20%,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just want to make it
Yeah,
clear.
there's a contingency in it.
So the needs assessment, and we revised that, not we revised it, you revised it.
Tony,
And Tony revised
We
it.
talked.
So we dropped it from 100 top historic sites in Norwood.
So don't know what. to-
It's on the back of your packet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many did we drop it to?
So,
It's two sides, by the way.
Yeah,
1, 2,
yeah,
3,
it's
4,
great.
5, 6,
Yeah.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 29.
yeah, 29 on Macris, and then just 5 that aren't on there.
right,
Because what we did is, we removed the houses unless it was like, used to be the governor's mansion would have been of significance to the history of Norwood. So that's why we dropped this all down
this is
the
wonderful.
way it is. And that way people, because when you have like 100 things listed, people aren't going to read through all
Right.
that. This way at least they'll read it.
The most important commercial
Yeah,
aspects of it.
and the history. So is it okay with this board then for me to forward it to CPC?
I think it's a very good idea. Can we just go through it for a second?
Sure.
And Judith, the first 3, by the way, that are on the National Register, where it says American Legion Memorial, that's actually the cannon.
Oh, interesting.
The top three are the included on the
In the-
parcel of the town
right.
hall. So it's the town hall, it's the lockup and the cannon. I meant to put that in parentheses because that's why it's Washington Street. It's all, it's the NRD, it's all in the National Register. And that's the number in Norwood.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Just the other question, Premier Theater, the Guile Theater Building, that's where Conrad's is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
728
yes.
Washington Street. So, yes, the Guile Theater, so we had two theaters in Norwood in the old days, that's right. Do I hear a motion to accept this list?
I'll make it.
I'll second that.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. I don't think there's any discussion on this.
No, I
It's
mean,
perfect.
they're on the listing, most of them, and then
Right.
there's some local, like I was surprised that the Balsh Elementary actually wasn't listed on Macros.
Actually, the Walsh and the Callahan are the oldest ones, but they're actually the most beautiful ones,
They're not listed though,
right?
so.
Actually, next year, we should really talk about having a CPC application to hire a professional to inventory our sites again and have additional places put on Macros that aren't on there. Because it's, in some
It's
cases,
important.
yeah, it's like 40 years or more since Ed Gordon, who did
Mm-hmm.
90% of what I see on there. And it's gotten so much more particular and professional to even get a Form B on Macros.
We know
You
that.
really need a professional.
Would you like to make a motion for that?
I would like to make a motion that we remember to do this next year, that we really need, there actually are planning grants. We gotta put our head together on this one, I'll take a look. There are, I don't know if municipalities are allowed to. That's the trouble with that one, I'm thinking aloud. But yes, let's make a motion that we make it a priority next year to have a professional planner to update Macros for historic local interest sites in Norwood, to update Macros.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just that it's really needed, and now that Norwood actually has the CPC Act, which has only been since, what, 2016 and 2018, I think the first grant went out.
Went out,
Now
yeah.
that we have that, it's more important that our Macros sites be up to date, because we can't claim against CPC for historic value if it's not. It's
Listed.
better if it's listed. You're gonna have a hard sell if it's not at town meeting. So if the state accepts it on Macros, then you have more clout.
Do I hear a vote? All in favor?
I think we said aye,
Yep.
yeah.
Yes. But I'd like just to make this list not only part of the needs assessment, but also part of the master plan of the Norwood Historical Commission and add it to it. We have a preliminary document that's going on the comprehensive plan. So perhaps this could be part of that.
Well, now that it's
from-
updated too.
Now that, yes, and going on there to the comprehensive plan, in addition to like an amendment to it or an addendum to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes sense, yeah.
I don't need a motion for that.
No, we could just, and the comprehensive plan did also receive the master plan goals, but we
Yeah.
can add that list as an attachment, as like number 8 of the master plan.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you noticed, Judith, we tried to put together several of the buildings here that are designed by Upham. Did you notice that? The first ones that are like most important?
I
Did you notice that?
So that could be very, an
You know-
important point
Right.
of William G. Upham designed building.
These first ones, and you can tell because they're such stoic buildings, right?
Right, exactly.
The Oddfellows Building, the Theater, the Masonic Hall, the Town Hall, they're all such strong buildings. You can tell it's his style, can't you? Yeah. It's kind of interesting when you look at them at a group, you can see it's his architectural style, right? Yeah. Yeah, he's awesome.
Actually, we should say that.
I know, I didn't,
He's a Norwood native, a Harvard grad, and
an architect.
he's, he is
He's a
well
designer.
renowned because he even designed not only Norwood's municipal building, but he also did the bell tower at Yale University
Mhm.
and all these other
Yeah, no, he
famous
was
places around.
striking.
So he's
It was very
well known in New
prestigious.
England.
Yeah. I mean, the early citizens of Norwood, they really wanted to put Norwood on the map.
That's right.
They really
But
did.
he's even more than that. So like we have, he even designed and built his own home on Marion Avenue
Mm.
here in Norwood, so
Yeah.
that's a good thing. A letter of support for Orient Lodge. They made a CPA application, and I thought that the committee was looking into a change of finances or a change of the
Did they change the
amount.
application?
They haven't yet. We requested them to narrow it down for quotes, and it's in the work process. And CPC is going to go look at the exterior because they're doing the rails, the steps, the pointing on the outside and all that. So we're going to go look at it. But when they do
Thank
the
you.
outreach, before it even hits town town meeting, they have to narrow down the
So
cost.
would you like us to wait before we make a letter of
well,
support?
I mean, you're supporting,
The project?
yes, the project.
Yeah, so that's what we can do. And we'll submit it to the CPC.
I have a question, please.
Sure.
It's just on how CPC works, because we don't have that many that are private. So, and of course, the J House is on the National Register, so that's sort of different. Because this is a 6-digit figure, this is why I asked. So, just for example, suppose the Temple, the Masonic Lodge, or any other private, non-government historic site gets a good chunk of money from CPC. Suppose 3, 5, 10 years they want to sell the building.
Oh, when
Is there
any,
an automatic clawback in these?
there's clawbacks, yeah. Anytime an outside entity wants CPC money,
Okay.
there's a clawback that protects that money, that if they turn around and sell it, they've got to return the money to us.
Okay, that's
It's-
great.
It was done on veterans housing and
I was just
everything.
gonna say 20 Vernon Street.
Yeah, we do it, if it's an outside entity, that money comes right back to us.
Excellent, okay.
Yeah, but I know they don't plan on,
Oh, I know they don't, I just.
they don't, but no, there'll be a clawback on it.
Yeah.
There's a clawback on
20
the,
Vernon.
but also on the day house for
Okay.
the tiles.
Oh, is it?
Yes, anytime, yes, there's clawback. The CPC does look after the money to make sure
Well,
it's not
future.
just,
I think it's good to reiterate that so that the public knows
Yes.
there's an inbred protection in the
There is,
process.
yep.
Because if you're doing it on a municipally owned building, well, if
That's
they
one
sold
thing.
it, the money's coming back to the municipality, but
Yeah.
this is good to know.
Absolutely.
it's a very detailed, drawn up agreement. It's like a grant agreement and it's all written in there. And if they don't agree with any of it, they don't get any of the money. It's cut and dry.
Perfect. And I'm sure that the state's attorneys have been.
Yes, and obviously Mike's gonna, are you gonna chime in?
Oh, I was actually just going to ask, are we at the stage now where, for this Orient Lodge project, are you looking to do a letter of support, or is this something that's for the future, do you think?
Well, that's why I
Yeah.
had it here.
Yeah.
Because I think we were told at the last meeting that they were waiting for a difference in the money.
Okay, so it's something that's still
But would you
waiting.
like us just to put
A general letter
a
of
general
support.
thing, not even to mention it, but just to support the project.
Yeah, we
Project
support-
in general,
In
yeah.
general, we support the protection of that building. What we weren't clear on is what money was rehabilitative money and what money looked like repair and maintenance and longevity wear
Well,
and
they
tear.
can't have it
Right, I
for
know,
repair.
but
They
the
can't have it
applica-
for
The
rehabilitation.
application, the funds requested didn't seem to separate
It didn't separate.
maintenance and just wear and tear over the last 50
Yeah.
years versus real rehab,
But
so
I will put the word rehabilitation
Oh.
that's a good idea.
in the
Only,
letter
yeah.
of support.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay,
good.
number 10, an election of a treasurer. This is going to be very important. And I'm going to ask Kathy if you would be ever so kind.
What does that entail? Last time I said yes to that, it was for a class reunion. I had a budget. I mean, it was a class of 600 people. I had $20,000 I was making.
No, this
It was
is-
like-
That's not like that.
Oh, okay. All
That's
right.
not like
What
that.
would this entail?
I will give you the background.
Yeah, I know what she's gonna say.
Before you hopefully say yes.
I have no idea what she's talking about.
Okay. The Bach Fund, well, it was my error in the beginning, because I made an application to the Bach Fund for $500. $250 was approved by the Board of Selectmen, and it was for the Moss House. We're trying to build up a little kitty there. And money was moved into town treasurer's office for the rehabilitation for the Moss House. But because it was, the Board of Selectmen approved the application for the Norwood Historical Commission, I can't deposit a $250 check into the town's account for the Moss House. I need but it needs a treasurer to sign it over to the thing and sign treasurer.
Okay. I can do
And
that.
then we went to the Moss House last week and we got a donation of $20 cash. And then I looked at the mail and we got $1.
Hey,
That was, so I'm just wondering if we could have an election to,
So it would be signing checks over so they could be deposited into a special
account
account
here.
held here.
Here.
I don't have to get involved with the bank or anything like
No,
that.
no.
Sure.
okay. Mhm.
That sounds good.
Okay. Can I make no, I can't make a
You
motion.
can't make the motion.
Can somebody make a
I'll
motion?
make it.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Well, I'll second it, and then can we
Okay,
discuss
then
it?
we have to, yes,
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
So, I can send this in an email, but this was this problem that she was talking about, John took care of before he left. It's ironic, because I sat with him at Town Hall in July, and I said, well, you gotta have this in writing, because, you might not always work here. Little did I know he was That is so ironic, so I have this in writing. This is, because he had to correct that error last year. So that is the name of the account that our donations go in. They're what
Okay.
underlined there.
Okay.
I do have this in an email, or else you can just, it's gonna take me a while to find it, but I can't find it, or else you can just copy
I'll
that.
take a picture.
That was his correction of how to deposit that money into the right place. So, and there's maybe $5,000 in this account,
We would like to know what the balance is,
there's,
too.
yeah, so, because we transferred some donations into
Yeah,
that
I see
account.
450 here.
So, yeah, that was last year's check, of the 450 check, he had to move it around, So it's all on record, bona fide, so that's what I want you to know, and that was, all right, so, but that is a real account in the town's records, where if we get any donations, this is all it is to be used for.
So would that make sense then for that 250 from the Bach Fund to go?
Absolutely, that's
Okay.
where it goes, yes.
Okay, so that's probably a pretty easy
But-
fix then.
because I've already been there
Yeah.
to the treasurer's office, and they won't accept it even because it's made out to the Norwood Historical Commission.
Oh,
Okay,
it's
so
gotta be
that makes
paid
sense, that makes
It
sense.
has to be made out.
Yeah, so the next time we request money, we should say, if awarded, make payable to the town of Norwood to be
Yes.
deposited to the,
Beautiful.
what's
That's good.
RV stand for?
Revenue.
Oh, revenue, of
Revenue,
course.
yeah.
Donation Morris House. And, you know, that the town should never use that account to balance the operational budget in any way, no how. So, that's right.
Yeah.
Right, that will answer me. So, yeah, but.
Okay,
yeah.
Let
but
that
that
be
makes
put
sense
on
though, to have,
record.
that makes sense to have a treasurer though, to be
Yeah.
able to
Yes.
deposit it, and we can.
So-
to-
And we will gladly accept donations to this account if anybody would like to donate to the Morris.
Do we
So-
get an annual stipend, though, towards the running of this commission at all? Is there any monies that come from the state, from the town?
Nothing.
Well, to qualify that, we do have a humble, like $3,000 or $4,000 budget in the operating budget every year.
Right, but you know what they do? They use it for, let's say, the gas thing for, at the Moss House, or the heating, or whatever it is.
Well, you know, there are
But
costs.
that's the,
Oh.
yes, but that's the budget, but that's not this.
No,
account.
no, that's not this. This is charitable.
Totally,
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
fine.
I can get you a
deductible.
balance, I
What
can get you a
was
balance.
Yeah.
the several $1,000s? Is that allocated every year,
The-
that money?
the
It's in the-
budget
It's in the,
is-
In the
it's
budget.
expenditures, yeah.
As expenditures?
Yes.
Yes.
Who manages
The
that?
town.
The town itself, the
Yeah,
treasurer?
Yeah,
but
well,
this is separate.
Yeah, I know, like, you've come to me before, and we've been able to use the money to pay for things. so,
Yeah,
Whatever.
right.
Does it accumulate, or the town can take it to transfer to other?
No,
That's an
Right.
operating budget, so every year we're close to free cash if it's not used,
Right.
so, but we do use it though.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, it's piddly change,
Yeah.
you know, but.
This
but
is
we-
separate of that though,
Yeah.
revenue, this rolls.
So,
this
so if
rolls.
someone in the town donated to this,
Yeah.
can they take a tax write-off for it?
I'm not sure, that would be a question for an accountant, so I don't know the answer to
We
that.
have one of
We're a
those.
nonprofit.
They would need their personal accountant, I mean.
I think we'd have to be registered as a nonprofit.
All rise.
Sarah's here to say hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
So,
I gotta
Sarah,
find
just a few more minutes.
Take your time.
Thank
Just wanna
you.
be late.
So, will somebody nominate,
We have Cheryl made a motion, Tony seconded, so for Kathy.
oh,
to-
to,
Yes.
okay.
But could you please clarify again what we're asking her to do? What are we asking?
Just endorse.
Just
Endorse checks.
endorse the check, and I've got $20 cash here and another one for $1. I just wanted to deposit that.
And I mean this generally, why can't you sign the back of it?
They won't accept it.
Why?
I'm chairman of
You
the
have to have a
that's it.
treasurer of a board.
Norwood
Oh,
Historical
oh.
Commission.
Oh,
And because I'm not a signer, an elected treasurer, they won't accept the deposit, just like the bank didn't. So we have to have a treasurer.
oh, so she's gonna be treasurer?
Yes.
Because I was gonna say, I'm vice chair, can't I sign it?
No,
No, it has to be a
cannot.
treasurer
All right,
on
so
a
wait a
board.
minute, so we're actually creating a position on our board. I think that needs to
For
be clear, because
treasurer,
that
that's
wasn't
why
clear.
I say an election
All right, so
of a
she's,
treasurer.
oh, okay, so we're creating the position. Well, that's a
Yes.
horse of a different color, okay. Got it, well, congratulations, well, I will vote for that.
I would vote for it.
Yeah.
Tom, don't you
Yeah.
vote for that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can I vote
Will
for
you
myself?
accept,
Yes,
will
yes,
you
yes.
accept it?
Yes, I accept.
You won't hold it against
Thank
me, will
you
you?
so much.
You won't hold it against me,
Oh,
right?
that's interesting, so that's conflict of interest maybe for a chair to be able to say.
Well, they won't
Yeah,
because,
that's interesting.
yeah, but it's the Historical Commission
Yes.
and the differentiation.
It makes a lot of sense, but
Yeah.
also I'll walk over with you after the meeting and we'll just deposit the 250 and the 21 together.
Yeah, so,
that- to
so,
that account.
and I would like to know if, what would we have to do to make that town fund a donation fund? You know, if somebody wanted to make donations to the Morse House, that could be written off.
I don't know the part about writing off, that's something they would have to probably check with their personal accountant about the tax benefit of donating. But if we can definitely accept donations, people do that for all different, the Norwood Fund, the Gift of Warmth, all that. People do send in donation checks to us and we can deposit them here.
And so
Do
you
we
need-
have to have
so-
a 501(c)(3)?
I don't think so.
C3
No, I don't believe so,
account.
because we have a donation account for this purpose, And we would just have to make sure that the check is somehow noted, or if there's a letter with the check that says, I'd like this to go towards the Morse House or the Historic Commission, just so that doesn't end up in like the Gift of Warmth, for example, or you know, July 4th takes donations, the concert committee takes donations. We just have to have it, you know, mentioned where it's going,
Specific.
where it's going to go. And we can take donations both check or on the website. They have an online way of doing it too.
Could our account be online and people could donate to that?
I
Could
can-
we
yeah,
ask
that-
about
we can
that, or
certainly
ask
do that, yeah.
Tony about that?
Yeah.
Because I've been pushing for a way to get support for the Morse House, and I'm tired of being put off, I say that kindly. We need help. We need
Are
help.
you allowed to
And-
say,
and
for
we-
instance?
and we have this
you a
account.
tour, donations accepted, a little sign, something like that? to-
We have,
You
There is a
that's where I
podium.
got the $20 from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
it's
like a
down-
little wooden
Yeah,
podium with a
yeah.
slot that
Said-
people can.
And donations, so I opened it, and oh my gosh, there's $20, so that
Yeah.
was good.
For the website, would you want it to say Historical Commission or Morse House specifically?
I think it, well,
And we can talk offline too if you want. We don't have to do it right now.
Well, we should not be really in the.
yeah, right, it's
Right.
really for the Morse,
Finance
I
business.
think what we really want to do is quote that it's for Morse House restoration.
And this is specific to the Morse House, yeah,
Yes.
exactly, okay.
Yeah, I
Yep.
think we
it
should be
I think it
specific,
should be the Morse House.
because, you know, I want to live long enough to see that house as a true public meeting space that is a
Mhm.
place to gather for community. I think the town could use it, I really do.
So I'm gonna just be very, very quick here, and I'm just gonna change something, and then at the end of the meeting, go on the comprehensive plan. And here's the staff assignments. Actually, I could leave that for another time, I think.
Well, when we have the
asking-
full board present.
You have to have the
Yeah.
full vote.
So tabling 12?
Yeah. So do I hear a motion to adjourn? Does anybody have any new business or old business or anything?
Well, Madam Chair, before we adjourn, should we actually keep the meeting open for the roadshow since it is an agenda item?
Oh, good point. Yeah, good point.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so maybe we should keep the meeting open. I believe we're still filming.
Yep,
the-
Okay.
that's a great idea.
Okay.
Thank
You don't
you.
need my
Yeah.
input again, do you?
Yeah.
Always.
Oh, you do?
You're welcome to, but never obligated.
But I already did it.
That's fine.
Okay.
Is this different?
I need to go back to work this
You have
one.
to get back to work.
Yeah.
That's really fine.
Sorry.
No problem. Well, we can keep quorum because Tom's here.
Thank God you were
Yeah,
back.
Sorry.
Oh, thank goodness. Tom, presence is always there.
Some of us have to work until we're in our grave, and I am one of the, some of
Power
us.
to you, keeps you smart.
I'd say it keeps me young.
Kathy, where's Chuck?
He's having medical issues.
Oh, dear.
Excellent.
So enjoy.
We shall.
So you have to leave, but the meeting is still open.
Yes, sorry.
No problem.
Thanks a lot, good seeing you.
Should we invite Sarah?
Thank you.
Sarah, you can have my seat.
Sarah, would you like to be at the other end?
Or,
You can sit down so I can see
I'm telling
everybody.
you where to sit.
Bye,
Thank
Cheryl.
you,
Thank you,
Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Yep.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Fine.
Are you ready?
So, yeah, so, before we go on, I just wanted to mention something, that Cheryl and Tony made a list of historic buildings here in Norwood. These are on Macris, and then there is a list of schools
Last page.
which are not on Macris yet. So we will make sure that we will get them on there. This is to be attached to the master plan of the Norwood Historical Commission, entry to the town's comprehensive plan. So were you able to read what we had? And if there's anything you'd like to say or just to comment on. But before we do that, I'd just like to introduce Sarah Dixon as Director of Community Development, and also you're going to talk to us about the town's comprehensive plan.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me here. I know it's a busy time of year and you've got a lot of business to cover at your regular meetings, so thank you for making time for this. Some of you have been engaged in the comp plan process so far, so apologies if this is redundant information for you, but I think it's helpful to give an overview of what this project is and where we are. We've been working on this for about 1.5 years now. It's the first comprehensive or master plan that our community has done in about 30 years. They are kind of prescriptive per the state statute, the planning law, that kind of requires a comprehensive plan for a community to cover several like very key topical areas. Housing, transportation, infrastructure, those types of categories. We're as a community taking that one step further, obviously satisfying our requirements from the state law, but also really trying to get a more in-depth view of what our goals are for the next 10 years. So it's a 10-year plan. The first stage of the plan was a review of existing conditions. So that was really looking at the data, right? Kind of where are our demographic changes? What's an inventory of the resources we currently have, both natural resources and through kind of capital resources or historical resources, and then reviewing the planning efforts we've already done. While it's been a long time since we've done one of these big comprehensive plans, we've been involved in strategic planning faithfully and regularly all along. So,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Sorry. So you mentioned that we haven't done it in 30 years, but we had master plans that were always timely, but they were only for 5 years. This is the first one I recall that's 10, because if we didn't have a certified master plan, then we couldn't apply for grants. So
we've had strategic plans, which are usually a little bit more topical. They're restricted to something like the open space and recreation plan, right? That's either a 5 or a 7-year plan, depending when it was done, or a housing production plan, or even plans specific to a geographic area, like a downtown plan or a Route 1 plan. We've done lots of those.
yes, we have.
The master plan kind of being a more all-encompassing view of everything within a community.
Mm-hmm.
The last one that we did was in the early 90s.
Okay, so this is a different.
Yeah, kind of a different
It's deeper.
animal.
It seems deeper.
Yes, and broader. It's
Yes.
a really broad plan.
Would you
Thank
kindly
you.
repeat, the last one we did was in the early what?
90s.
That's what I thought you said.
And that was an interesting one because it didn't have a specific time frame that it envisioned. It was, in my view, extremely well done. And it had a lot of really tremendous ideas.
I could have sworn we had master plans before.
Yeah. And we worked to achieve a lot of those ideas up until recently, so it actually was a very forward-thinking plan, and we got a lot of it done, which I think positioned us really well for this plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that first phase was really kind of looking at all those strategic plans, those smaller plans that we've done over the years, and kind of incorporating them into this existing conditions report. The second phase is really what I consider the heart of this plan, which is the public engagement component. Really working hard to involve as many people in the community as possible to share with us, where do you see the community in 10 years? What do you hope to achieve in 10 years? Where would you like us to dedicate our resources? What's important to you? And so we've offered a variety of ways for people to participate, trying to meet people where they are, recognizing that not everybody chooses or can engage with us in the traditional 7 p.m. evening meeting format, right? But sometimes people like surveys. We had informal discussions that we encourage folks to have with their friends and family, their neighbors. And this phase, we're really kind of meeting with boards and committees on kind of a topical feedback area. You all are the experts in historic preservation in our community, and so it's valuable for us, and by us I mean our 10-person steering committee, comprised of residents who are working on this, staff, and then our consulting group that is helping us with this project. We really want to hear your specific feedback on the ideas that we have relating to historic preservation. So we've kind of started with this really big, large-scale view of what our goals and priorities are, and over time we've worked to sort through all of that public feedback and actually put together a list of ideas, right? The good stuff, like what are the things we're actually going to do, our checklist of action items. And that's what's before us today. And I was hoping to be able to go through as a group and get some of your feedback on each of those strategy ideas.
Well, before we offer you, what is it that you have in mind about historic preservation? Or what does the comprehensive plan have in mind about, because this is a state thing,
Requirement.
yeah, so what are you looking for?
Yeah, so we should go through the strategy list and kind of and get that sense. So you know that the list of ideas that we're going through, these are not Sarah's ideas, they're not our consultant's ideas, and they're not strictly ideas copied and pasted from your master plan either. A lot of these have come to us from the public. We have nearly 2,000 participation points
Oh, great.
with people in
That's
the
very
public so
good.
far. And so the strategic ideas that we have here are ones actually that came up multiple times, right? If one person submitted a survey and said, I want to do ABC, it didn't necessarily make the list, but if there was consensus and we saw that it was important to a lot of folks and it came up in a lot of different circumstances, then it's included here.
Now, initially, we went to the library, and you had all these various aspects of that plan on there. How was the results of that? Did you get a good feeling, a good sign from the people who went there?
Yeah, absolutely.
About how they're viewing the town?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that we are, and this is kind of just speaking in general terms, people have demonstrated, a strong interest in preservation, maybe not necessarily to, specific properties, but in general recognizing that Norwood's history and culture is part of what makes it special. And
Open space as well,
open
because of the
space has
Kofsky
emerged as a
property, right.
priority as well, yeah.
That actually appeared on 3 surveys over the years, maybe even more than that, open space. And that's why I think there was no, or very few
I agree.
opposition to the property, which is really great.
And that's the value, I think, too, of having a plan, that we can document what our priorities as a community are. Because as we move forward over the next 10 years, will there be grant opportunities that we can apply for? Will there be partnership opportunities? For us to be able to look back and reference our plans and say, hey, what was important to the public? It helps us focus on our priorities, and I think the Kofsky Farm's a great example. That was cited in our open space and recreation plans, going back to the year 2000?
2004, I think was the first,
I mean, so you have 25 years of the community saying again and again, this is something that we're interested in. It just helps to make a more informed discussion, especially when you're expending money, right? When you're appropriating resources financially to a project. It's helpful to be able to say, as a community, people have liked this idea. It's been important to folks.
Well, then you'd have the support of the plan behind you, too.
Exactly. And including things in plans also can help make grant applications more competitive.
We need
If
that.
you're able
We
to
need that.
name it,
Yeah.
it makes you competitive to
Yes.
the state.
The
Question,
town
Sarah.
meeting
You
approved
said
it.
there's 2,000
Yeah.
surveys was filled out?
No, so that's just total participation. It includes a lot of folks who
Well, the
participate.
consultant had set a certain amount that they were considered valid?
Yeah.
How many is that?
Considering
The
valid?
number of engagements.
Yeah, so right now, I want to say we're about 1,900
Oh, okay.
total
And they-
people who have participated. And so that includes, maybe a few hundred who took the survey. It also includes people who have sat at meetings like this or folks who attended the meeting at the library.
What
So-
number did the consultant want? How many?
So the steering committee set a goal for 3,000.
Oh, okay. I heard a number somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So
we
we're getting there.
figured we're getting there. We were hoping for a percentage, of the total population. 3,000 is an aggressive goal. And that's not necessarily 3,000 different people, right? Because, Tony might have attended the open house and then is also here today. You're participating in different
Right, I did
stages
something
of the
online,
plan.
I went to the library to come to
Right.
this.
Right, so it isn't necessarily meant to represent that 3,000 different people participated, but it's a checkpoint. It's times that folks gave their input on some part of this.
Right.
Otherwise, it would be really challenging
Yeah.
to, and we don't want to discourage people from participating multiple times, right? The input you provide at the beginning of this process is just as valuable as the input you provide at the end. So we don't want to discourage people from
Well, it's a
Not
learning,
being
it's a learning process.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you have a particular point of view, and then you get engaged with other
Yeah,
people,
sometimes you
things,
learn.
and you change your mind and provide more input. So, yeah, I can understand how they come up with that, 3,000, so.
So I want to be respectful of your time, so I was thinking I'd get right into it. Now, I brought some printouts of the strategy list. Does anybody need one?
I think we all probably will
I'll
take
do.
it. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. You might take one and pass it around.
Those?
Two-sided.
Two-sided, not too long of a
Thank you.
list. So the exercise that we're walking folks through is a numbering exercise. As a group, we'd like to try to assign each one of these ideas with a number, 1, 2, or 3. 1 is, I hate this idea. Please take it off the list. I don't like anything about it. I don't want to see this idea in the comprehensive plan. Number 3 is, I love this idea. I love it exactly as it is. Absolutely include it in the comprehensive plan and do nothing to change it. Number 2 is somewhere in the middle, right? Number 2 might be, I like this idea, but I have some questions. Or I like this part of the idea, but not the second part of the idea, chop that off. Or, you know, I really like this idea, but I'm really concerned that we don't have the capacity for this. So as we move through these one by one, I'll kind of ask for you to kind of quickly give me your knee-jerk reaction to this idea. We don't necessarily all have to agree on each one, but it's helpful to kind of at least quickly knock out the 1s and the 3s, the loves and the hates, and then, you know, note your questions on the 2s. And just one note before we get started about finances, because that's a good question. It's a question that comes up a lot. Well, this seems expensive. I like it, but you know, I feel like I can't in good faith give it a 3 because I don't know how we'd pay for it. It is helpful to keep capacity in mind and funding sources in mind when you're reviewing these ideas. But if we don't have an obvious way to pay for something right now, does not automatically exclude it from being a good candidate for something for the comp plan. And that's for a few different reasons. One is that this is a 10-year plan, and the reality is we don't know what our financial picture is going to be in 9 years. You know, God willing, hopefully we'll be in a great spot and we'll have the ability to pursue a lot of different options, right?
Is
But
anything open to grants in this?
lots of these ideas are, yeah. And lots of these, you know, are maybe more policy-driven initiatives that wouldn't require a significant expense.
Okay.
All of these ideas that would require a significant expense, just because we include them in the comp plan, it's not a mandate to actually do it. So, for example, and I'll use zoning as an example, just because as in planning, that's what I work with most frequently. We have a lot of suggestions in the plan relating to other areas like economic development and housing that would require a zoning change. If those ideas make it into the final comp plan, it's not a mandate that we absolutely have to do it. Any zoning change would still have to go through its regular process. Planning board would have to draft it and discuss it and have public hearings. Town meeting would have to vote to approve it at a town meeting. The Attorney General's office would have to approve it. That same process would still apply, and that's true for everything else here, right? So if it's a capital expense, that would still have to go through our usual capital planning kind of process, but it would be informed and start out that process with some consensus and community support at the outset, which is sometimes unusual for the ideas that make it through there. So that's the end of my
Are
spiel.
you looking for kind of a consensus here?
If possible,
Yeah.
but if there's a healthy disagreement on any of these items, I'll take notes of kind of where people are thinking
But
about
is
that
there
too.
any way that we can discuss them?
Absolutely, and I want you to, for sure,
As a group,
as a group.
right?
Yeah.
Because
What I find is that sometimes these groups, there will be consensus on the, oh, we all love that, right? Like sometimes there's a strong, oh, that's already on our plan, or that's something we've advocated for years, or maybe even that's something we're already doing. And we move on from those pretty quickly, just because it's an obvious
Right.
idea. the twos, right, on this 1, 2, 3 system, the twos tend to warrant some discussion. So let's start with the first one so that we have time for
one is
those.
hate, 3 is love.
Love.
I wish it were reversed. 1 should be love.
That's why I wrote it up in the upper corner.
You don't have to worry about the numbers. Just tell me what you like and what you don't, and I'll figure out the math. All right, so just starting off with this first one. The first one is to evaluate and update downtown design guidelines to support adaptive reuse of historic sites while preserving original architectural features and ensuring that any additions comply with the Secretary of the Interior standards.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
Is there some specificity to what is termed downtown streets?
Yeah, so typically that's our central business district. It's only related to Uptown.
But where does that go? Does it go from, is it Winter Railroad? Is it Washington?
Yeah, no,
You know,
it's-
is it from the library all the way
It's
down?
really like 1 block north of Washington, and then everything south on Washington to Broadway. And then the boundaries are again down to Railroad and then
Okay.
over to,
What is it on the south end? It doesn't go up to the library, does
probably
it?
not as far as the hospital or the library, no. I think
Okay.
it stops short of the library.
But sometimes in some towns, what's happened is that some historic buildings, they like the historic part, but because everything is modern now, and so sometimes we'll combine the two, and it doesn't look right. It looks odd.
So downtown design guidelines would be for private buildings to kind of guide. I mean, with a guideline, you can't necessarily require, but it gives kind of suggestions on ways to creatively reuse a historic site for a modern use. We don't utilize downtown design guidelines. We had them at one point a long time ago.
Yeah,
so
we don't, Dedham, I know Dedham has design guidelines.
Yeah.
We could use them.
Yeah. So typically, planning board is the one that enforces something like this.
Actually, I think Dedham has a design advisory board.
They do, yeah.
Is that something that this group would support? How do you feel about that
Oh, I
idea?
have felt we've needed, yeah, absolutely. Our aesthetics, when you go into Westwood, you see the cohesiveness of architecture and the cooperation of developers
Yeah.
because there are design guidelines. We're all over the place in Norwood, in color, in design, in the apartment houses. Like even our Avalon, I don't like the color of it. You go to Westwood, they don't have that color. They don't have these dark, morbid colors. They're bright. You can see when there's design architecture involved. You sense it and you feel it. You feel it when you walk into a place that has cohesive planning. It just feels good. And I know it definitely needs that. So, I mean, I'm very much in favor of this first strategy. I wish it was wider, that it went up to the library into that Guile Square area right across the street where the Guile building is, and then there's the Guile Park and the Guile Medical Building. Is the Guile Medical Building involved in that?
No, that's not in the downtown.
To me, they run off, they're not, everything's the center, but there's important stuff on the periphery of the center that if you don't pay attention to it, it's gonna look like a chopping block. Oh, this got designed, you come over here, no. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I have to tell you that I agree with you to a point that no, it is choppy in
Yes.
design. But years ago, the town had wanted a committee for historic districts. And one was historic district downtown and go all the way up Walpole Street and everything. But there was so much
Scuttlebutt.
dissension
Yes, I know.
in the thing, it just folded. So, but historic districts, you have to ask the approval of the individual or the
Right.
company or the, commercial entity in order for them to be a part of it. And many didn't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
So, but the owners have changed.
Oh, definitely.
So
Yeah,
things
definitely.
like the Norwood Theater. Norwood Theater, Town Hall, the Civic Building, all designed by one architect. William G. Upham.
Yeah, right.
And also Orient Lodge on Day Street, designed by William G. Upham.
The post office.
Right, the post office. So there was
Integration.
initially,
There was that
when the
cohesion.
town was
They had
incorporated, the design factor.
They had
And
planning
that makes
ideas
such a
in their
big
head.
difference.
They
I
had-
mean, even looking at like Islington Center, part of the reason that looks so cohesive is because it was one developer
Yes.
who
Right.
did all of those buildings.
Did he
and
buy
that
the building
naturally-
over here? I heard.
The one on Everett Street that just opened
And-
was the same developer.
And that's huge, and it's still beautiful. That's my point.
Right.
We got things they just like plop them there. Same thing. No offense to the developer, but I don't have a lot of hope about the beauty at the one at the end of Hoyle, East Hoyle, there down near the train station. I think it's just going to be right there. Looks like a. I can't. You know, I'd really like to see beauty come back to Norwood.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
really
so we're
would.
feeling
Yes.
comfortable with design guidelines, it sounds like.
Yes.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Tom?
Looks like our mission statement.
Okay. So you feel like that's already
Well,
consistent?
when you say contemporary use, yes, on the interior, but not on the exterior.
Correct.
Exterior is the important part of it. Even the Massachusetts Historical Commission wants the exterior of historic
Should
buildings
be preserved.
preserved.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to this next idea.
Okay,
This,
so what are we putting for number one?
3.
It sounds like 3. 3 is a good candidate for number 1. But I did take some notes as you were talking on that. Okay, so the next one is about kind of incentives. So, you know, design guidelines and regulatory requirements are the stick in some respects. This one's about carrots, right? Providing zoning incentives or any sort of modest tax relief to spur reinvestment in underutilized historic structures for civic, cultural, or mixed uses.
Okay,
This is about incentives to
Yeah.
developers
Are
to
you
use these buildings.
talking about like even the 3A, where they have an additional
So that's an
Floor.
example of a type of zoning incentive. So the way this might work is that if you had a historic structure that as it was built, I'm trying to think of an example. Maybe the bank building, the old Bank of America
Yes,
building.
in the center of town.
So we don't have any sort of zoning incentives for adaptive reuse of historic structures. But if we did, it might have looked something like you can build more residential units if you commit to preserving the exterior of this historic building. It's a little bit of again, it's a bonus. It's a little prize for somebody to use that building in a way that maybe our current bylaw wouldn't allow, but to do that in exchange for a public interest, which in this case would be historic preservation of the exterior of the structure. How do you feel about that idea? Either the incentive or the tax relief or both?
But it doesn't usually work that way though, Sarah.
Well, we don't have it right now. This would be a new idea.
Well, we sort of have it with
Yeah.
the bonus in
On
the
the
planning
3A.
for the mixed-use developments where, again, if
We
they-
have bonuses, but they're not specific to historic preservation. So
No.
this idea is specific to historic
Right, and
preservation.
I'm not very fond of the bonuses we have, so I am much more in favor of however big the town wants the carrot to be, to provide some small tax relief on a development, because, and the town can afford to give it some tax relief, because once it's rehabbed or an adaptive reuse is completed, they'll get better tax revenue back on it anyway. So even the reduction in tax will be offset by probably greater property tax with the redeveloped site.
Okay.
The bonuses, I just feel we just get taken advantage of with more apartments. You know, for example, one of them was about, you know, increased stormwater regulation. Well, I don't know if that was really done right under the ground. I have no idea.
The thing about bonuses is that we get to choose what they are. We
well-
would get to draft those and write
Well,
them
I
and
think
decide
I
what
think
we
the
think
one
is
that
right.
is the easiest to administer and to make sure that over time, regardless of personnel, that the one that can last, that's the simplest, is a modest tax relief. It doesn't require any other fancy administrative observation. You get a tax relief, and to put towards adaptive reuse. No fancy dancy wheedling around, just tax relief.
Is this
That's
something
the incentive.
you
That,
share?
that's the incentive.
Yeah.
The state, there's also, if it's a really historic site, then, there's the historic tax credits, but I don't think we're actually talking about that here. Because it's actually very hard to get those historic tax credits, as you have seen with the bank. They were surprised when they did.
Is the group feeling like this is a 3 if it's restricted to the tax relief and crosses out the mention of zoning incentives?
I'd say
I call it
2.
3.
I don't love it.
You still don't, you're
No,
still kind of
very.
questioning.
Well, I'm thinking
the-
about the,
I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
What don't you love about it? What would you want in its place?
I just want modest tax relief. That would be the
Yeah.
incentive.
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
No, but I don't love, but to the elimination of everything else. Because I don't want, personally, this is only my personal opinion, right? This is not like the personal opinion.
well, I'm
An
thinking about,
incentive, that would be the only one. It would be just that.
Yeah, understood.
I'm thinking about, well, we're talking about historical applications, but I'm thinking about the tax incentive program that Moderna got, the.
Well, those are tips, those are
Those
tips.
Yeah, the chips, right, and that's been very successful.
Yes.
Right, so I'm thinking that, well, it'll work here too.
Okay.
It's sort of,
Well, because if there was let's suppose Win Smith Market for the heck of it, because they still have the Commerce Center, they still have many acres undeveloped,
right,
unused.
yeah.
They could come forward, and if there was some tax relief, they would still have to have a plan approved.
Oh,
And
sure,
Conservation can still have their input in the planning board. If you wanted more grass, they could still say, we think this is too much cement, you need more grass. I mean, there's still other things that come into play. But the one that you can't wheedle away from is the fact that this is the amount of percent of relief we give, and that's definitive,
Right.
you know?
All right,
I
moving
follow.
on to the next
Yeah.
one.
Okay. So
Or
is
A3.
I see.
This is a continue to do something we're already doing, right? Continue to protect and reuse publicly owned historic landmarks. So this is specific to historic landmarks, and just demonstrates our commitment to preserve. It gives examples, but doesn't limit to these.
Love it, love
The
it.
All of
bandstand,
it.
town
It's
hall,
no
Morse
brainer.
House.
No brainer,
Okay.
absolutely.
So that's a quick 3, it sounds like.
How do you spell quick?
Yeah.
All right, A4. Adopt a demolition delay bylaw and a matching incentive program to safeguard privately owned historic buildings that are at risk.
There's none left, there's none left.
We tried
I'm thinking
a
about.
delay thing prior, and town meeting voted against it.
Resoundingly.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
if
town
I-
officials
Does that mean
voted
to you that you still feel like it's not an idea worth revisiting, or?
No, because they only do it for 6 months.
Yeah.
So town
It's got
officials were
limited
against it,
Impact. anyway.
town meeting was against it,
Okay.
and I don't even think that it's worth it anymore. They get around
We just
it.
don't seem to have that mentality of preservation, I'm sorry to say.
What?
We just don't have people, I don't know.
In this town,
Yeah.
we're only talking about.
What it gives you is 6 months to think it through.
Right.
And to work with the owner or a prospective buyer, to have some discussions. It might still get torn down, but it gives you 6 months to try to work something out. You
I
know?
wish we had this when we had the governor's mansion.
I mean, I can't even go there,
Even
I
though
could
we
cry.
talked with the town,
It's her, the
like, they didn't buy, I mean, what towns, cities and towns have a governor's mansion in their midst?
now
have you
that would have
seen
gotten
it?
registered.
I mean, have you seen it?
Not on the inside, no.
Well, it was gorgeous on the
sure
inside,
it
and it's an
was.
atrocity now.
I think the inside, I've been in the inside,
We get emails.
they
about it.
had woodwork, must have been Brazilian
That's what I heard,
mahogany.
that the woodwork was
Stunning.
Oh my gosh.
Stunning.
And I saw that dumpster outside, throwing stuff out.
The first floor
But
was
the
like a museum.
town itself should have pounced,
to purchase it. Right,
and they didn't.
right,
which-
because otherwise it's really hard to compel private owners to.
Yes, but
Take
we
this.
should have been.
That could have been a
the owner.
boutique hotel.
Yeah.
Could have been a bed and breakfast.
All right, so it sounds
Yeah.
like there's some consensus that
It won't
A4
pass. It won't pass.
isn't worth pursuing. Okay, 4A5, launch a townwide archival inventory to catalog, digitize, and preserve historic documents, photos, and artifacts.
Yeah, 3.
We had suggested that at one of our
Yeah,
meetings.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Actually, we've done a lot of that, haven't we, with the
Yep.
well,
the-
with annual
budget
reports,
books and the,
things like that, and
We've already done
it,
it.
it is great. It is great.
The next one is about creating a local historic district.
You said that won't happen, right?
Well, you have to get the approval of all the owners.
And it's-
And initially, we wanted to go up Walpole Street and everything. Then we were told, oh, just limit it to around the town common. But even the town common is not historic, the way it used to be and everything. So everything has changed. I don't know.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, again, is there still value to you? And given, your interests and your
Right.
priorities and the work you do as a commission, is there still value to you with this idea?
Oh, I
Not
love the.
Yeah.
Not thinking about, whether or not the public would go for it. It's entirely possible that this makes the plan and we do a public process and it gets shut down. Okay, maybe it doesn't
I
work out.
love historic
But you should know that these
districts.
ideas came here because there's already some consensus among residents who have engaged in this process with us, who have said we like
Yeah.
this idea. So,
You know,
As a matter of fact, people have even asked me, because what about the library? What about all the houses all along, like Oliver Barr's house, who was the first president of the Norwood Trust Company, where that bank building is on 699 Washington Street. His home is that brown house that's on Walpole Street that they just put in a little, did the front walk over and everything. That was his home.
Yeah.
So the people who owned the mills, the commercial banks, the town, the architects lived here.
yeah.
The developers who are here don't even live here. They don't care about this.
Yep, so-
Their bottom line is money.
Right, from the library, Walpole Street down to my street, Endicott Street, that was all historic. That whole-
Initially,
yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and all the land at the top of Endicott Street, including my house, was all of it, as far as you could see, was owned by Samuel Winslow,
Yeah.
who was part of the Winslow Smith Tannery at the end of my
And the
street.
Winslow house is still there.
Yes, it is. Yeah, so there's some, as you can tell just by driving by, there are some stately homes on Walpole Street. The corner of Rosemary, the stucco house, the other big gorgeous house there with the,
I'm wondering if this is a good candidate to be flagged as a 2, noting that there's concern about whether or not the public would go for this,
Yeah.
that you still think it's valuable. But also what I'm hearing is that, the way this is written is really about the downtown, and it sounds like there might be some other residential parts of town that might
There's the side
warrant
streets too.
exploring as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
There's
there-
other corridors in town that
There
have
are.
collections of historic homes that are still there, and that might be a different public conversation if
It
you're
might
talking
be.
about a residential neighborhood versus the downtown.
it would be a different conversation, yeah.
All right, any other thoughts that you want me to include on this one before we move on?
You know, I mean, go through a town that has a historic street, you feel it. Medfield, Hingham, the houses are beautiful because and again, the thing with historic districts requires, what you do on the outside of your house.
Yes, but color is not one of them. A lot of people have said
Yeah.
color to me.
You won't let me
The
paint my house.
historical commission.
Well, unless you pass a bylaw,
Well, it have to be a local.
yeah, it can be
thing.
local.
But the Massachusetts Historical Commission does not even get into the color or anything.
So this
Well-
would be a local historic district, that's the.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
what's
I mean, do you
proposed
want
here.
on Walpole Street with a big beautiful house, say, to be painted orange, really?
No, but it wouldn't apply
Well, if you-
unless you did it
Unless we
on a
chose to do
local.
that.
Right,
Like
so,
Nantucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole.
yeah.
The whole island
Yeah.
is restricted.
So what do we want to number that? Because
Three.
I think a 3. I love that idea.
I'll go along with that.
And same thing on 7.
Oh, next one too, 3.
No brainer.
That's a no-brainer one for you
Yeah,
all?
absolutely.
Okay. All right, 4A8, convene property owners, historical society, and residents to expand historic programming such as walking tours and heritage events.
Yeah, the Historical Society does, quite a bit of that. And again, it's volunteers though, that's the thing. There's a lot of interest.
I'd put a 3 for that.
But a 3.
But, yeah.
One note that comes up is that because the Historical Society is a private group,
Right.
the question that's come up on this one that I'd love your input on is how much by way of public resources would you feel comfortable committing to this? Is this the type of initiative that you'd like to have a collaboration between this group and the society on
asked them.
programming? Or
We've asked the
would you be
society.
comfortable with public funds going, maybe in a grant type capacity to sponsor this? Is that
Okay, so
an expense that you'd be comfortable with?
They've used grants.
yes, I would.
The Day House people have used grants.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So I don't know where it could come up, but one of the things that is important, I know this is about the future, but you need to remember that the society was the initial and only repository for all things collectible and memorable of Norwood.
Yeah.
They are over 100 years old, and they are out of room. I have had the opportunity, I haven't done a lot, but I'm just a board member at large, just started this year in April, which has enlightened me a lot. I was always a member of the society, but not on the board. They're the most hardworking people, and I actually thought they have lots of members, but as always, there's an integral small group that does
That do the
everything,
work,
right?
right.
So they are amazing because not only do they do all these projects, like there's an open house this weekend, by the way, folks, on Saturday, 4 to 8, but they also have to care for this mansion.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable,
Beautiful.
the amount of work that has to be done there. But my point too is that they run out of space. Norwood, while it's nice to have archival records and to have digital, and I use all those resources and I do value them, you cannot replace everything digitally. It is nice to have tangible antique artifacts, but those are clumsy to store, and they're running out of space.
They take space.
We have been advocating, as you know, forever. The town has owned the Morse House for 50 years, and the second floor in particular could be an awesome extra archival space. But we just can't get the funds to wrap around to repair this house. We have serious issues. I don't want to get off on another side, but this is where I see a blend with the commission and the society that we need the Morse House. The first floor can be the community space, and the second floor we need for some office space, maybe for cultural council, commission, day house, cultural commission, art. We have a big art community in Norwood, but storage space. There's one big room that was added on. It's in the upper corner. You throw some air conditioners in there, and you've got a great big room where you could store better photographs, and because they have some great stuff there. They have a lot of alumni stuff from Norwood High, outfits. The original founding fathers of incorporation in 1872, they were alive when the Norwood Historical Society was founded, and those families left stuff with them, lots of stuff, and it needs to be stored safely. And all these years, it's hard for them to even jury it and archive it and know where it is to retrieve it. They're doing their best, but you get all crunched. They need more space.
And there's
So
a public-
I'm just
there's a
putting that out
public
publicly because a
interest,
lot of people might not. Why would you need the Morse House? There are so many uses for the Morse House. My mind bursts with thought, but can't wrap the town around to give us a few bucks for it so that we can have this integration of storage for materials and photos and office space, which sounds benign, but you need it. It is not right for commission members or cultural council members. These are town boards. They get money from the town for us to have all our stuff at home. Because when I die or leave this board, that work should be available. There should be a file, and it's not good to be done that way. We don't have an office
So
here.
there's a public interest in
We want
supporting that work.
files that are fire, not resistant, but
Well,
fire.
metal
things like
files,
metal-
yeah.
So
But
that the
anyway,
fire-
I'm off on a
so-
tangent, because this is
but
great.
I agree with everything that Tony said,
Good.
so I would like to put a 3 there.
Okay, terrific.
Yeah, and I give the Historical Society a 3, too.
I love that.
They're doing great.
Was that 4B2 we're talking about?
4B2 is the next one. This
Yeah.
is a little bit of a shift. It's more towards like programming. This is about creating self-guided heritage walking tours with interpretive signage for Norwood's top 100 Macris listed historic
Oh.
sites. How do you feel about walking tours?
Well,
and
I think that.
interpretive signage.
Actually, Patty Fanning has done walking tours
Yeah.
of the various parts of town.
So these would be permanent installations, you know, where there's a little sign with a QR code. So if
Why not?
Mike, you know, wanted to go out after work one day, he could go and scan it on his phone, the QR code, and listen in and learn all about the site that he sees.
We were just starting to discuss that when Pat Duchesne left, right before you came. We were. And because the 150th anniversary was coming up, we were talking about it years ahead, and we had talked about those. But those kind of permanent markers, and sometimes it can even be a leaflet that goes with them. I think of like the Kennedy Historic Walk you can take down in Hyannis, which I've done more than once, and it's cool, you know. I think there are some markings in the street too. I forget if they put a star or a stripe, you know, just so that you can make sure you're going the right place. But absolutely, because Norwood's history is amazing, just like every town. But how they started, you know, do you wonder how they started? It's interesting, and all the industries that were here that were successful, and the mills and.
So my follow-up question, if the group likes this idea, is this something, because all of these ideas end up getting assigned to a responsible party to implement. Is this a project that the Historical Commission would be interested in working on?
I think trails and historical
It might be a partnership. for sure.
partnership.
But is
yeah.
it something you would
So
contribute
do
to?
they do that on trails? Well, they'll have a kiosk or
They
something.
have the brochures there, yeah.
They have the brochures, I've
Yes,
seen
yeah,
those.
yeah.
But do they have a sign where the
QR code?
trails are?
No, not typically. That's not something they've really been focused on creating the trail system. But interpretive signage is absolutely something that I know those groups have talked about. Even when it's talking about, like, you know, learning about the species, right? The plants
Right,
that you
I know,
see as
right,
you walk
right,
along.
right.
So a similar idea, similar
Doesn't
concept.
the Bernie
Yeah, the
Cooper
Cooper
Park
The
have a
Bernie
lot of
Cooper
that?
Park has some of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they have color-coded wraps around trees on the trails,
Yeah.
which I got lost in. My husband and I on Meadow Street. It was hilarious.
Shame.
I go, you gotta put something better, because those things fade, and then they're not the right color, and there were two different colors.
All right, I can make a note of that.
I did, I
can
talked to
get that
somebody,
feedback.
I talked to
Needs
somebody at the
be-
trail, I said, I thought I was gonna call 911 to get out of this area, it was
Lost in the
hilarious.
woods.
And I don't know that the historical commission has the capacity to
Wait.
do it, but that's only my thought.
Well, you could put a team, and a commission member could be on it, you need a committee.
Right.
I remember in another life, because, you know, I've been here for almost 45 years, but when I was on the PMA, Parent Music Association, we commissioned the Norwood Lap Robe, and we sold thousands of them and funded the music lab for the high school with them. They went all over the world, these lap robes, and it's stunning, and people still have them all over Norwood, but there was a leaflet that went with the blanket and explained every icon that was on
Right,
the blanket.
yeah, I remember that, yeah.
And I did the research on that, and I worked with John Carroll and several others to make sure what I was saying was right. But they make great gifts and stuff like that. But anyway, it would be great to have. And that heightens awareness, because if you heighten awareness, then you'll get people to support funding things. So
Absolutely.
I do think that kind of grunt work, if you will, should be
The
done.
education is
Yep,
important.
yep.
Okay.
I
This-
agree.
You
This
know, I
next
would be
one-
happy to work with a team.
Okay.
Like
To
volunteers.
support. Okay.
I can see, for example, some cultural council members being interested in that.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
such.
So this next one is similar idea. It's about kind of outreach and education. This is about forming a cultural education partnership. And the bodies that were mentioned in our public engagement were schools, library, and the Historical Society to embed local history and arts into curricula and field trips. So it's a schools, culture, history kind of
I
mishmash.
must tell you that the Norwood Historical Commission asked, this was maybe a few years ago, I think that the history teachers or whatever at Norwood High, for students to write an essay, and we would provide first, second, and third prizes. Not much money, but we had it, and so we offered it to them. And we offered it to them in September so that they could respond. And we followed up at Christmas time, we followed up at Valentine's Day because they had, vacation time and everything. So we followed up. It came to April. And they said, oh, the students were too busy and they couldn't do it. We were shocked because even though we followed up, they came back, they didn't say everything's fine, everything's fine. And when they came back in April, and they told us not one student wrote an essay, and we only said like 750 on Norwood notables. And I think we even gave them a list of Norwood notables. Are you kidding me? So I'm very skeptical
Okay.
about working with them. Of course, that was them,
Yeah.
Is that high school level?
yes.
Yeah, and I know school curriculum is a tricky thing. There's a lot
It
that they
is.
have to fit into that,
Yeah.
these days. But to the extent that perhaps we could work collaboratively to identify, rather than perhaps like bringing the school committee an idea, maybe starting a step back and saying, do we both want to work together to incorporate this type of education into the curriculum? And if so, what ideas might work? Is that a partnership that you'd be interested in supporting?
Well, it wouldn't
I'm all
cost,
so-
wouldn't cost anything, would it? I mean, really,
Right.
so, yeah.
So, I
So
mean,
why not?
we're all for, I'm all for education, but Norwood taxpayers have provided a new school, high school, and now a new middle school. And what are we getting in return from students if they don't even make the average of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts? There's something wrong here. And I've been skeptical a little bit since that time when all those months went by and not one student wrote a 500 to 750 word essay. I mean, I could write a letter with 500 words.
Any other thoughts on this one? before
I'm
we
sorry
move on?
to go on my little tangent.
Well,
I mean,
here.
it sounds like in general the group is supportive of this idea,
Well, I think a lot of it,
but it comes down to the details, right?
yeah, but I think a lot of it actually exists informally. For example, the library is the most vibrant location with outreach programs. I never cease to be amazed. It doesn't matter what time of day I'm there,
Same.
it is booming. So that, and in fact, it's a requirement, if you will, to reach out. What we don't have anymore in the schools, which I thought was going to come back, and correct me if anybody knows I'm wrong, is in the old high school, until shortly before it was torn down, we used to have a vibrant adult education school after hours. That's gone. And actually, it was when the old high school had been put on warning, I believe one of the bullets was that it was not a sufficient beacon for the community, if you will, in terms of that kind of additional outreach, being one of them at the time, not today now, but at the time, the most expensive building in Norwood. And the idea was that after hours, it should continue to be used for other adult. So things that were being taught there, for example, were computer courses, art courses.
I took many courses.
Oh, many
there,
people
yeah.
took.
Upholstery.
You know, and it was all ages. It can be mothers after hours. It can be seniors. You know, everything for somebody over 65 or 60 doesn't have to happen at the senior center. We have a beautiful high school, and I don't see that opportunity anymore there. And that might be a place where you could have a local history course
Actually, it's funny, I met with the school committee last night to do this same exercise, and because it involves the schools, this strategy idea was on their list, and they spoke glowingly about the adult education
They
programs.
did, and
of
I did
years
not
past
even
as
see
well.
that, and I mentioned it, but I was on
Yeah.
school committee
It
for
was the
7
thing
years.
that came up for them, that
Yeah.
used to be a really robust program, and they
was.
wish there was a way to continue it.
Yes, and I can tell you from strong personal experience, because I was on school committee for 7 years, 2 years as chairperson, so I know integrally how much goes on in the buildings, and it was a robust program, but of course you need the director. We had a
And
stipend
you have to fund
director,
it,
right? It all comes down, these are great words,
Yeah.
great text.
Right.
But it all comes down generally to money and then wonderful volunteers who are passionate about the particular topic. If you took away all the volunteers from Norwood or any town, the quality of your life would go down so fast. A lot of people don't realize, I don't think, or value enough the input of volunteers that make your life happier, prettier, joyful, all those kinds of things.
Well, the library,
But kudos to the library.
English as a second language, what do they call them, the,
Right,
Yeah.
right.
there's a prime example of how,
And Heather,
Library
is it
Rich.
Heather Umbrick? One of the librarians just got a very wonderful accolade from the
Heath,
state.
that's
Heath,
right.
Heath,
Yeah.
Heath, yes, and she is wonderful. And any question I have, they help me with. Historic preservation as well. And again, our histories in a lot of places, not only digitally, but materially. Some's at the library, we have some at the town hall, some's at the society. So when we talk about, archiving or we need a professional to help us integrate and locate all these resources and make sure we're not duplicating them. I remember saying that when the manager wanted to archive a bunch of annual reports. I said, well, I know a lot of them are already done through library technology grants. Make
So
sure
maybe
you're
more
not doing double dip.
coordination, more
But yes,
coordination
we
is
definitely need that.
Yeah.
Sarah, when early on, when the previous high school was there, the original high school was there, they had one section for dressmaking, cosmetology, culinary, and even the State House, whoever was in office at the State House, would come to Norwood Culinary School, incorporated in the original Norwood High, to make their desserts and appetizers for events that went on at the State House.
Was that what the
I was about to say, was that in the Peabody School?
Peabody
Yeah.
School.
Yeah, Peabody
On the
School, right.
opposite side was shop for carpentry, fine carpentry, which is like at the Bennett School in
In the North
Boston,
End,
in the North End in Boston, right? Fine carpentry. Also shop for cars. And even night school was happened there. And people here in Norwood, and I know of 2 people who actually made their dining room sets, break fronts, and chairs. So when all of this talk about a new school came, it was like going backwards, just in my view, because they had so much talent here in Norwood, at Norwood High. It was amazing. It was just electric. It was exciting, because you saw all these people from different walks of life with all these different interests. It was fascinating. So, yeah, I'm in favor of this, like, big time. I would love to see a lot of this happen again,
All
really.
right, so I took good notes on that one. The next ones shift gears a little bit. 2A6 is actually in our transportation section of the plan. It's a little bit less connected to history specifically, but it's the same idea of this walking loop
Yeah.
system. This is more about wayfinding, so installation of signage and connecting local
And
landmarks.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
signage costs money too. I'd like some of the other historic things done first before the wayfinding. Maybe
Yeah.
I'd do this at 2 instead of at 3, not because I don't like it, but because I would want my resources to go the other ones first.
Understood. Yeah.
But that's my opinion, I'm not speaking for the
I
group,
think that's, I agree.
Yeah.
um,
All right, and then the last few,
What does that mean, upper floor homes?
yeah, so this is about the zoning that we have for our downtown, which you may remember, we put together a pretty extensive mixed-use zoning bylaw for our downtown area in 2019. This would allow for
Another floor?
preservation of existing historic structures by allowing or promoting some sort of like second floor additions or rear
Right.
additions or other flexible zoning rules that try to stimulate preservation of existing buildings.
Right, but since that law was passed, nothing has been done about that.
Correct.
So there is no interest. Also, all the buildings here are,
If I can, I'm going to gently push back on that one, just because this is what
oh, Cottage
consumes
Street.
most of my
Yeah,
time.
That's okay.
I actually don't know that there's not interest. I receive a lot of calls from developers and property owners who are interested in doing things with their properties, but the way the zoning was written doesn't allow for those projects to be possible. And so we need to revisit the rules to make sure that the rules aren't prohibiting any sort
Okay.
of reinvestment.
But.
So this is about revisiting those rules and making sure they
Okay, I
work.
understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But,
Either way, they're not working, right?
okay, I understand what you're saying. But Norwood's Center is beautiful if only the owners of the properties took care of their buildings.
and then they could get.
Okay, so they don't live here.
Yeah.
And we know because a Norwood resident rang me up from Maine and told me that the same telephone number for one of the owners here, for many of the buildings, was up there. So we know that the owners have
Yeah.
buildings in other cities and towns. So a number of these buildings have already got 2 stories. I think perhaps.
More. It's 3
Oh,
too.
yeah, but it's just on the corner. So if they're talking about adding additional floors to the buildings, that would create a different feeling about Norwood Center than there already is. I gotta ask you one question. A number of people, when I come through here, sometimes the same car is here for hours. So I'm wondering if some of the owners or the business people who are managing it are parking right in front of their things, because you can't find a parking space.
Yeah.
So they're not going up to the parking area, parking there for hours, because you can't even go into the stores if they're parking in front of their store.
Yeah.
That doesn't make
And we
sense.
could talk about parking probably for a whole session on
Right.
its own.
To
I want to
elaborate.
make sure that
Yeah,
we're kind
yeah.
of staying focused on the
Sure.
zoning here.
But to elaborate on what Judith is saying, when you walk in Norwood Center, for example, I can't imagine the curved Gala Square building having another floor on it. The beautiful Oddfellows building that in capital letters I think is engraved with Oddfellows. I can't imagine another, it just creates all these different heights and materials, and there is some bit of uniformity right now. If there was a store that's only 1 story that maybe wants to be the same height, I can't articulate what that building.
So that's something, that's a really good example of how you could use zoning to work for us, right? So our zoning doesn't address that currently in our downtown district. There's no provision for consistency with adjacent properties. It's also worth noting that some of our historic buildings were built before our current zoning exists and wouldn't be able to be built today, even though they're buildings we recognize as historic, and we think that they're an important part of our downtown, under the current zoning, they'd be illegal to build today. The Talbot Block is a good example of that one, that curved building at the end.
Oh, yeah.
The density on that building, the number of units that are in there,
That's not the Talbot Block.
that's not the Talbot, what is
That's
the
the
name of that?
Guiled
That's the
Block.
Guiled,
The Talbot Block is on this end.
it's on this end, okay, so, but the curved
Yeah,
building,
right.
yeah, Ernie on the planning board calls it the Yankee
It's a
Stadium
new,
building.
did somebody new own that?
No, but I'm just saying, if somebody wanted to build that today, they couldn't, because there's residential density in that building that exceeds what we would allow for new construction today. So zoning is about tweaking to make sure that it allows the type of buildings we do want to see, either built new or preserved.
Just
It's-
the Oddfellows building, for example.
Yeah.
Are there any private residences on the second, third floor there? Because that's 3 floors,
Those are all
isn't it?
I
businesses
think
in
those are
there.
all businesses. I don't
Uh,
think
so-
there's
so does the
residential
zoning-
use, but I don't know for sure.
But it sounds like the zoning allows for residences already,
It
anyway.
could, right.
If the Guile's already doing it,
Yeah.
so I'm cautionary on this.
Yeah,
I'm putting a 1,
okay.
just so that you know
It's
how I really feel.
Because like Judith's comments, I feel, I think abuse is too hard, but I too often feel taken advantage of by developers. I think we're past a good bylaw, and then I go, oh, they found a way to get around it. Kind of like the current situation that's going right now with freezing zoning for 8 years. I don't even want to get started on that one, but.
That's the
No.
tough.
Zoning is, you're absolutely right. Zoning, the devil is in the details.
Yes,
in
it is.
zoning.
And
And
I-
if you do it
yeah.
right, it can work to
Yeah.
meet your goals and your
Right.
priorities.
I don't
right?
think we're ready for this. Let's put it that, let me be
I think it
kind.
should at
I
least
put
be
a
a 2,
1.
because that downtown area zoning is in trouble, and it needs to be revisited.
I'm not saying never revisit it. I think we have a lot more work to do before we revisit this one.
But I also think that
1, 2.
the town actually maybe could invite the owners of the buildings in, for a conference or something like that. Maybe meet, with you, Sarah, the town manager, maybe the Board of Selectmen, to see what direction they want. Are they willing to spend some money here?
And in our housing and economic development sections, which obviously aren't your list because they're
Yeah,
not necessarily directly
Well,
related to
then-
historical, there are ideas that kind of address that type of collaboration between private.
Well,
Yeah.
that's what would be
public
needed,
sectors.
collaboration. Then I would give it a 2, Tom. My gut reaction was a 1.
Yeah, no, I think that's helpful feedback. All right, so this last couple of ones, 3E10. Again, this is tangentially related in that
Right, mitigation, yeah.
it's really about hazard mitigation. Protect historic and critical infrastructure from climate impacts with, essentially flood-proofing, landscape buffers, any sort of mitigation measures to protect our historical places from natural hazards.
Landscape buffers,
No,
is
that's
it town
that's only 40
owned
years too late.
Or commercial owned?
They can be both. They can be both. We can require, as part of new development, more of this type of infrastructure. We can require private developers to put that on their properties as part of doing business in Norwood.
Isn't
But
there
it
already-
also
aren't
means
there
that we
already
have.
bylaws in place
There are.
for this? I
So
know
this
some
is
of it's
kind of a
incentive.
continue and expand what we're already doing. Yeah.
Well, I think we need more of it.
Well, good.
Can there be like a bylaw to prohibit building in any buffer? Town-owned, individually owned,
Buffers like on the edges of property lines or
What kind of
type of
buffer?
buffer?
Yeah.
Do you have in mind?
Edge of the property line, nothing can go into the buffer zone.
Yeah, yeah. So we have an
Green buffers.
array of buffers. Obviously, Conservation Commission is the most protective about vegetated buffers around resource areas, riverfronts,
Just
and
wetlands,
wetlands. We have buffers in the new zoning we wrote for the Boston Providence Highway. There's a pretty healthy buffer that's required between any of those commercial properties on Route 1 and their residential neighbors on the other side. That's an example of a new zoning change that I think is actually working pretty well.
Okay, but that's good. The issue with them, though, is enforcement
But, yeah.
and repercussions from people who don't follow the rules.
Yeah.
And are there any fines for,
Yeah. So if something is a zoning bylaw, then it becomes zoning enforcement. The building commissioner is the town's zoning enforcement officer, and he has the ability, per our regulations here, to leverage fines up to $300 a day, with every day constituting a separate offense for a zoning violation, and also to take property owners to court for their zoning violations, which is something that is actively ongoing in town.
Well, I
We
hope
have a
so.
number of zoning violations
Do we
at that
actually
stage.
penalize commercial entities or private entities if they violate? We actually do, we collect the money?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so is this something that generally you feel
Well,
good about continuing the work
yeah,
that we're
of
doing?
course.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely, yep.
And then this last one is from our housing topic. It's about residential design guidelines. So it's a similar idea to the downtown design guidelines that we talked about earlier, but this would be about residential design guidelines.
I think that's important.
Are you talking about cluster homes?
Nope, this is talking about guidelines that say if you're building any new housing anywhere in town, not just in a historic district, but anywhere in town, or in an area that we choose, right? That construction, those new homes have to meet design standards that we set. Whether it's as restrictive as you can plant these bushes and use these paint colors like some homeowners associations do, or something far more permissive than
Can I
that.
make a comment? If you travel between, say, through Westwood and Needham and all that way, they're tearing down so many of the old Cape Cod style houses or ranches that have big yards.
Yep.
They're building massive, what I call contemporary boxes.
Mhm.
They're not New England, they'd be beautiful in California or the Rockies or something. But, and then you'll see like a classic Royal Barry Wills Cape next to this
Gigantic,
huge boxes that are put together as somebody's modern house.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't look right at all. And it's New England country, roads.
It changes the character
It's
of the neighborhood.
completely
Right.
changing. I don't know how you can enforce
New England character.
character and what aesthetics is hard
Yes.
to enforce.
So that's that's a really interesting thought. So design guidelines obviously is one way to take a bite of that apple. And it's what I think in planning, what we would call anti-teardown activity. So towns that have really high teardown activity, it's exactly what you're describing, where smaller homes are torn down and rebuilt, usually much larger McMansion style, right, residential construction. But another way that you can try to avoid that tear down activity is through the local zoning and making sure that your setbacks are requiring replacement of the structure that doesn't really exceed the original footprint, right, of what was there, or like you can use your zoning bylaw to try to prohibit tear down activity too. So that could be another way at getting at that. But I agree, that's often cited as a concern because
it is a-
it changes the character of a community or a neighborhood,
Isn't that
even
re-
when it's not a historic
Isn't that
neighborhood.
related to 4A4 though? The adopt a demolition delay bylaw?
Yeah, except we don't have.
So that's specific to historic buildings. This last one would be residential design anywhere.
Yeah.
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 Like my house is probably not considered historic, but it's old enough that if you tore it down and you built a McMansion, right, the character
Yeah.
would be markedly
Well,
different.
and then the
right?
opposite of the McMansion that gives me concern is are the ADUs that can be plopped anywhere apparently.
Yeah.
And are there any design standards for those?
No.
So,
And
you
we're
know,
limited by state law in how much.
and so it flies in the face of this. Like, why work hard on this? I mean, the state just, it's like our freedoms are gone.
Do you feel comfortable with residential guidelines, like not for historic properties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because I know there's been issues in town with people put some ugly stuff next to people's homes. It's not nice.
Okay.
Everything.
I'm looking at the time, it's just about noon, so we made it through this list. Are there any other questions or ideas that you would have loved to see here that aren't here?
I'd like to, I know you can't be specific, but I'd just like to see some protection for the Morse House. I don't know if you got any feedback on that, but we need that house. We need that house to be secure and tight. And when you talk about a lot of these historic resources, as you think out the future, in 50 years from now, where are you going to hold and preserve tangible items? Not everything can be appreciated fully digitally. It cannot. And like the warmth of a hug, some things cannot be portrayed digitally, and sometimes it's nice to be tactile and really have the physical asset. And the society's running out of space. And the second floor of the Morse House could be a stopgap for the next X number of years. And I'd just like to put that in there somewhere, that it's already a resource that we own, and South Norwood should have a historic resource protected that has a lot of history there.
Well, the town has committed money to fixing it up, so I think that's a good sign.
Well, yes and no. It's really the CPC. There's not much out of pocket really that comes from the town. There is some utility expense.
Well, CPC affects the town. It doesn't stand alone. It's a consensus.
No, but in relation to all the CPC grants, it's a drop in the bucket.
$1 million is a drop in the bucket?
We didn't get $1 million. The veterans-
890, was it 800,000?
185.
No, you got more than that, didn't you? I thought it was like 800.
There was 192, and 7,000 was used to waterproof the basement, and Lally Collin may
Oh,
support
so that's 200,000 then, roughly.
And we
192.
applied for another 200,000 too.
Well, that's
That's
a
for the
different,
big
that's not a
grant,
CPC grant, yeah. That's not CPC though.
Thank you
Oh,
so
thank
much
you, Sarah.
for hosting me. This is a lot of really terrific
It's a-
feedback
it's
on
a
the
robust
strategy
discussion
ideas.
for sure.
We are, and just to kind of wrap up, this is an iterative process. We are not done today. And to the extent that you have other ideas, or maybe at your next meeting, you're kind of spitballing and saying, oh, we should have said this, you absolutely can and should continue to engage with the Comp Plan Steering
Well-
Committee. You can email comments to me, you can call, we can find a way to incorporate more input. but
Norwood needs to start
this is
taking its local history
continuing
seriously.
conversation, for sure.
They really do. They have to start taking their history seriously.
Yeah, it's a lot of
It's-
value.
It's not been stellar. So-
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
But I would just like to add one thing to your
Yeah,
list.
absolutely.
And that is to not have all these waivers by developers. It seems like Norwood residents' opinions have not been, do not supersede that of the developer. Most developers do not live here, and the residents do. And the amount that we're getting from a developer, from the benefit the town, does not seem to be worth all the effort and the expense and the time that Norwood's planning boards, zoning boards, conservation boards, town officials are spending to please the developer. And I think that the opinions of the town residents should be taken more into consideration. The other thing is that we have a height law here in Norwood. And the only building that has exceeded their own buildings is FM Global and the hospital. So, and I think Moderna. So, other than that, is there a respect for the current zoning height to be taken into consideration when everything is being considered? And that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming here.
This has been a great conversation, and I have a lot of input to incorporate, so.
Yeah,
Thank you so
I
much.
put together,
Just
thank
need a
you.
motion to adjourn when you're ready.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you
You can
very
take
much.
that.
But do I, can I,
Well, you gave me this one.
Yeah, you gave that one.
Second.
You're probably not interested in that.
All those in favor?
In favor of adjournment, Tom's in favor of adjournment, right? You're in favor of adjournment.
Kathy, before you go, do you want to come in? Okay.